So, hey Jasper Nation, it's Kelly Carroll. I'm back with another Jasper Chat, and we are checking in with Eric Waugh, track and field class of 2019. Eric, how are you? How's your day going?
It's going good. Going good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to hear that you're well and you look great, and glad everything's
Well,
going.
thank you. hmm
You have a fantastic collegiate resume. You are a medalist in Max in both indoor and outdoor track and field. You were a 2019 NCAA East Regional qualifier. But the reason that we're talking to you today is that you recently were kind of featured in the Baltimore Sun for your work at Mercy Hospital in Maryland. So my first question to you is, what do you do at the hospital?
Okay, so I work at Mercy Medical Center, which is in downtown Baltimore, and my role is a quality analyst. So in that role, usually it's just looking into data for specific populations and then trying to find out some answer to some big questions. And then after finding out those answers, trying to implement something that we can use to solve those, not necessarily issues all the time, but an example would be looking at our readmissions numbers. So the number of patients that are readmitted into the hospital after originally being discharged. And after looking at all those numbers, we can see a good amount of them were originally, admitted due to high blood pressure, diabetes related complications.
Mm-hmm.
So then we would implement something that is either a service or some type of resource that those patients can utilize, so we don't see them coming back as often, because the goal is to keep them healthy and out of the hospital. So recently we've implemented like food markets or cooking demonstrations, which we'd hold either weekly or monthly and things like that. So.
And how has your role changed or grown or become more specific to COVID-19?
So after the breakout in the US, we kind of, we didn't really see anything happen in Maryland like right up front as soon as New York did, but we definitely started changing up shifts and roles. So at first I was working with the hotline center. So we have one at Mercy, which is a room full of analysts, and we have someone staffed 24/7, and it's just pretty much answering calls from patients, employees, staff, anybody there for any questions or concerns related towards COVID-19. So I started off doing that, but with the constant changes in the CDC, we had to add more analysts and move people around. So now I do simple tasks like I'm either running supplies. So sometimes I end up running different equipment or like masks, gowns, or whatever we need throughout the hospital, different units for patients, or even, again, doctors, staff, nurses that need them. And currently I'm also pretty much physically managing the inventory for whatever we get in for the hospital. So any type of large shipments that we order, or even donations that are coming in from sometimes around the corner, or even like places like China or overseas that are sending in all those masks, I do physical counts and stock the sort of warehouse that we have, and then I just manage those.
That's really wonderful. It's amazing how, it's not just doctors and nurses who are being super impactful, or although they are wonderful people and very much in our New York heart. It's amazing that kind of everyone is all hands on deck and really pushing to fight the fight down there.
Yeah, it's really all hands on deck down here too.
So as someone who is now on the front lines of all this and maybe even unexpectedly thrown into it too, what are you seeing? What's kind of your insights and your take from, really anything, your personal insight on this fight against COVID?
Yeah, so some things I'd say that I've had the experience of seeing firsthand, which always isn't as, pleasant of, vision, but I mean, of view. But a lot of panic, a lot of frustrations, a lot of inconveniences that take place, which upset a lot of people. So an example would be something like, I know I'm pretty sure most states have done this, but they set all hospitals under a no visitor policy. So I mean, there are exceptions, for minors that come in, but in other situations. But for the most part, we have different services in place where if someone's, say, blind or disabled, we have, transporters and people that will come through and help. But we've seen a lot of, frustrations with people with multiple children that would like to come, and there is no caretaker that can go home and watch those children, and different things like that. But you can also just see the stress levels overall, especially with, again, in the earlier stages, how updated we were daily with new news or changes. It definitely was a lot more of a stressful time, and I mean, it still is, but it's all about just keeping level, staying updated, and just doing the best we can, pretty much.
On the flip side of that, what are some of the more positive things that you are taking away from this experience?
Yeah, so I definitely, for me personally, I wouldn't, as you kind of touched on earlier, I would have never imagined myself in a situation like this. I think the fact that I'm healthy is a huge blessing in itself, and I mean, for me personally, ways that let me see, positive things that I can, provide, or takeaways that I've gotten from this, were the importance of just, I guess, just being together. I think one thing, and then also just spreading whatever joy we can at any appropriate moment. One thing that I try my best to do as much as possible at the hospital, which I guess I did a little bit in Manhattan, was, whenever I see, a very stressful situation or a room full of high anxiety, I try, implement some type of joke or lighten the mood, or try to, give people a better view of the whole picture, and how, even though this one moment could be as bad as it is, that there's a lot more to the story, and how some people, just yeah, pretty much any type of positives I can bring out. So, sometimes that's me running down to the emergency room, handing off, face shields or whatever. And any way I can, throw a compliment in to somebody that I see working really hard, or a security guard that, is working with me on that night shift, at midnight. And then, just throwing in a quick compliment or a good job. I think that definitely goes a long way at this time.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, but what you're saying right now made me think, has this changed your career trajectory at all? Do you do you see yourself going into a more specific medical field?
I mean, it definitely has. I've definitely put some thought into it. I mean, just because it's a step away from my day to day, which was more data behind the desk and behind the computer, and just looking at the numbers to it. I'd say definitely being a lot more, like you said, frontline, seeing the emotions drawn out of people, communicating and speaking with others. I mean, it definitely, especially at times like this, I've put a little bit more thought into the overall impact that I'm doing, and whether it's a field that I should stay into, or how I can provide for that community. So.
Well, I know it was very important to you to be able to give a message of support to your fellow Jaspers, and specifically to your, spring sport cohort that maybe lost some of their season, and might be looking for some words of encouragement. So hit it. It is all you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, definitely two very quick messages that I'd like to say, because I don't really see all the opportunities that I'll have in the future, to get a chance to speak to Jasper Nation. So there's definitely one that I'd like to say to the seniors that had their seasons cut. And this probably hit home a little bit more for the track and field team, or the throwers that I've, spent a lot of time with. But I'd say at a time like this, one takeaway that I would have is, I mean, just all because your athletic season was cut short because of this situation doesn't mean that your athletic career is over. And personally, for someone like me and a lot of my friends that graduated with me, like Will Stallings and Ryan Adelsberger, we bet a lot on our senior seasons. So when it came to the training, the timing, and then dealing with other injuries in the past, our senior year was literally our stamp. Like, that was the best way. Everything we had was put into that senior year. So I can only imagine how some of these athletes could feel, really banking on having this final, lacrosse season or outdoor track season or whatever season, and then just it being taken away. So definitely just sticking strong and knowing that if you just, maybe after all this is over and there's another opportunity to continue your sport, whether that's through a local club or just, training on your own or, linking up with some of your old teammates and starting something, I think that really does go a long way and that it should really be taken serious because this definitely does not have to be the end. And to those who are returning next year, I'd say, definitely use this time. I mean, there's a lot of situations that, I'm sure all the student athletes are put in, but I'd say use this time to really focus on just, I mean, when it comes to athletics, preparing for that next season, bring whatever energy that you had rolling into this season that was put on pause and, don't just drop it off or forget about it. Definitely come prepared with all that for the next season and, inspiring all those with you because not everyone will have that same, mentality. This has definitely put a lot of people in, a different mental state. So making sure that teammates around you are all in that mind state. So next season we could, start off where we left off. And then my last message would probably be to, I'd say all of Jasper Nation, and that goes alumni or, current staff, student athletes, students, is definitely during a time like this, as important it is that we all stress to keep up our physical health, it's as important to care and put a lot of attention to our mental health. Because, I mean, personally, for someone like me, track and field through college and even high school was one of my only ways to express any type of emotions or feelings or any stress that I was working through, whether it was family or schoolwork. Track and field was always that way to show and put all my energy there. So again, I can only imagine how it could feel for some student athletes to just have that taken away. So definitely during time periods like this, it's really important to just, if you're feeling something or, just any type of, I don't know, just definitely don't feel afraid to reach out to others during times like this and reach out, whether it's to a coach or to another staff member, parents. But if anything's happening, definitely speak up and, don't keep those things bottled up because, I mean, it definitely is a loss, So, yeah.
Well, that was super powerful, and I appreciate every ounce of everything that you said in there because it was all really important. And I'm sure your former teammates and your fellow alumni are really going to appreciate your words of wisdom. We're going to have you back as a motivational coach next year.
Yeah, listen, just let me know. Just let me know. And another little fun note that I promised I'd share is we have at the hospital with all of our storage units that we have, like storage units, but different rooms that we're storing all of our equipment in. A couple of us have took it upon ourselves to make nicknames for each storage unit. So there's a bunch of random ones. And the one that I spend the most time in, I'm really pushing for the name Dratty. So
Nice.
Just thought I'd share that. I'm trying.
Going. I'll put a vote in on any poll. Just let us.
Listen, I might have to start one of those Facebook things and get people to sign the petitions, but I'm working on it.
Perfect. All right, Jasper Nation, we've got to vote Dratty at Mercy Center. Well, Eric, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I appreciate you doing this so much. And we can't wait to have you back in Dratty, the actual Dratty, time you're able to come visit us. So thank you so much, and thank you for everything that you're doing.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.